Tonight, you'll lock your front door. You'll check it, maybe twice. Then you'll lie in bed, and for no reason you can name, you'll feel it. That prickle on the back of your neck. The certainty that someone, somewhere, is watching you. You turn around. Nobody's there. But for 99.9% of human history, that feeling wasn't a glitch. It was the only reason your ancestors lived long enough to have you. The answer to why you feel it changes everything you think you know about your own brain. Because that creeping sensation isn't your imagination. It's a survival program, 300,000 years old, still running tonight inside your skull. And right now, it's misfiring. Let me show you why. Picture a night 100,000 years ago. You're one of maybe a few thousand humans alive on the entire planet. You're crouched near a fire on the African savanna. The same landscape where our species, Homo sapiens, first appeared around 300,000 years ago. Beyond the light, there is only darkness, and the darkness is full of things that want to eat you. Lions dish. Leopards died. Hyenas the size of small bears. To a big cat, you are not the top of the food chain. You are slow, soft, clawless meat that happens to walk upright. So your brain had a problem to solve. Out there in the grass, a twig snaps. Was that the wind? Or was that a predator, low to the ground, watching, waiting to close the distance? Here's the thing. If you assume it's the wind and you're right, you save a little energy. If you assume it's the wind and you're wrong, you die. You get dragged into the dark before you finish the thought. So evolution made a choice for you. It built a brain that assumes the worst. Scientists have a name for this. They call it the Hyperactive Agency Detection Device. The researcher Justin Barrett described it simply. Your mind is wired to detect agents, living things with intentions, even when they aren't there. A shadow becomes a stalker. A rustle becomes a beast. A pattern of leaves becomes a face. And it does this on purpose. Because a false alarm costs you almost nothing. You flinch, you turn, you feel foolish. But a single misdetection costs you everything. There are no descendants of the humans who assumed the noise was nothing. You are descended, every one of you, from the paranoid ones. The jumpy ones. The ones who spun around at the snapping twig. Their fear is your inheritance. Your body still remembers. But it gets stranger. Because your brain didn't just learn to fear sounds. It learned to fear eyes. Deep in the center of your brain sits a small, almond-shaped cluster of cells called the amygdala. It's your ancient threat detector. Older than language, older than reason. And here's what neuroimaging studies have found. Your amygdala fires in response to a gaze. When another pair of eyes points at you, this fear circuit lights up, sometimes before you're even consciously aware of it. Think about what that means. Somewhere along the way, your ancestors learned a brutal lesson. A predator that is looking at you is a predator that has chosen you. The stare comes right before the strike. Eyes locked on means the hunt has begun. So being watched became one of the most dangerous signals in the world. And your brain built dedicated hardware to catch it. But that wasn't the only thing evolution did. Tucked along the side of your brain is a region called the superior temporal sulcus. Most people have never heard of it, but it may be one of the reasons you're alive. Because this small strip of tissue does something almost unbelievable. It is a dedicated eye direction detector. Its entire job is to work out where other eyes are pointed. It runs on a circuit from the superior temporal sulcus to the amygdala to the front of your brain. Detect the eyes. Sound the alarm. Decide what to do. A 3-step system, built into you before you were born, running faster than thought. Use it constantly and you never notice. When you follow someone's glance across a room. When you feel a conversation shift because someone looked away. When you know instantly that the stranger on the train is looking at you and not the window behind your head. Your body still remembers. Every second of every day. And now here is where the human story takes a turn no other creature took. Look into the eyes of a chimpanzee, our closest living relative. You'll notice something. It's hard to tell exactly where they're looking. The whites of their eyes, the part scientists call the sclera, are dark, brown, muddy, hidden. For a wild primate, that's protection. If a rival or a predator can't see where your eyes point, they can't read your intentions. Now look at a human eye. Look at your own in a mirror. That bright, exposed white surrounds your iris like a target. And here's the astonishing part. We are the only primate on Earth with prominent white sclera. In 1997, researchers Kobayashi and Koshima published this discovery in the journal Nature. They called it the cooperative eye hypothesis. Think about how bizarre this is. Every other primate evolved to hide its gaze. We evolved to broadcast it. We grew billboards around our eyes announcing exactly where we're looking. Why would evolution do something so dangerous? Because for humans, cooperation became more valuable than concealment. We needed to follow each other's eyes. A mother could point with a glance. A hunter could signal without a sound. A child could learn by watching where the adults looked. Our whole species runs on shared attention. But there's a price. Those bright white eyes made every human on Earth the best gaze detector in the animal kingdom, and the most detectable. You can read a stare from across a crowded street, and every other human can read yours. You are, quite literally, built to be watched, and built to know it. Which brings us to a question that sounds impossible. Can you actually feel a stare you can't see? Here's what the research shows, and it's genuinely eerie. Your brain processes gaze even out in the far edges of your vision, the blurry periphery where you can't make out detail. You don't need to look at the eyes to detect them. Studies have found what scientists call the stare in the crowd effect. A face looking directly at you pops out. It grabs your attention faster than a face looking away. In a sea of averted eyes, a single direct gaze snaps into focus almost instantly. So when you're sitting on the bus, and something makes you turn, and you find a stranger just in that moment, glancing away, you didn't imagine. Your peripheral vision caught their gaze before your conscious mind understood why you were turning. Your ancient circuitry did its job. It found the eyes. It pulled your head around. It kept you alive, one more time, out of 10,000 years of habit. That same instinct is alive in you today, right now. But wait. If your brain is this good at catching real stares, where does the myth come from? The idea that some people have a psychic power, that they can feel eyes on the back of their neck through solid walls, from across a city, from someone they can't possibly detect. This is where the story gets honest. That claim is very old. Back in 1898, a psychologist named Edward Titchener wrote that his students constantly insisted they could feel unseen eyes upon them. He tested it. He found nothing. No mysterious force. Just a feeling. Much later, others tried to prove the power was real, running experiments claiming people could sense staring they had no normal way to detect. But when independent scientists tried to repeat those experiments carefully, the effect vanished. It failed to replicate. Again and again, under proper conditions, the so-called psychic sense disappeared. So, here's the truth, and it's more beautiful than the myth. You don't have a supernatural power. You have something far older and far more reliable. You have a threat detection system so sensitive, so ancient, so deeply wired, that it fires even when it's wrong. It nudges you to turn around just in case. And every so often, by pure chance, you turn and someone actually is looking. You remember those hits. You forget the 1,000 misses. And a legend is born. The feeling is real. The magic is not. What you're feeling is 300,000 years of survival, humming under your skin. And now, in the modern world, that ancient system has nowhere useful to point. Because here is the mismatch. Your gaze detector evolved for a world of maybe a few dozen faces. Your whole tribe. People you'd know your entire life. In that world, A stranger's stare was a genuine event, a real signal worth your fear. Now think about your day. You squeeze onto a subway packed with hundreds of strangers, more human faces in one train car than your ancestors saw in a month. Your ancient system is screaming, watched, 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 and there is nothing you can do. So you stare at your phone. You perform the modern ritual of pretending no one else exists. That crawling self-consciousness you feel walking past a crowded cafe. That's your stare detector, overwhelmed, firing at 100 sets of eyes it was never built to handle. It gets worse. You stand in front of a camera, and your body floods with unease. Your voice tightens, your hands don't know what to do. Why? There's no one there. Just a lens. But your brain sees a giant, unblinking eye pointed straight at you, and every alarm from the savanna goes off at once. Stage fright is a leopard that never existed. And then there's the strangest hunt of all. Late at night you're scrolling. Thousands of faces flicker past, all looking out at you from the glass. Every photo, every video, eyes locked on yours. Your ancient circuit was built to make a stare mean something. One pair of eyes, one moment, one choice. Now you drown in 10,000 gazes an hour, and some quiet part of you never stops flinching. Your body still thinks it's being watched by the tribe. It doesn't know the tribe is now the entire connected world. So tonight, when you lie in bed and feel that prickle crawl up your neck, and you turn, and no one's there, don't feel foolish. You're not broken. You're not paranoid. You're not imagining it. You are running a program written before there were cities, before there was writing, before there was farming. A program written in the dark, by firelight, on a savanna where a pair of watching eyes was the last thing many humans ever felt. Every one of them who felt that stare and turned in time lived to pass it down, through thousands of generations unbroken, all the way to you, lying safe in a locked room, feeling eyes that aren't there. The predators are gone. The danger has passed. But the watchman inside you never got the message. He's still on duty. He's still scanning the dark. He's still turning your head at every snapping twig, in a world that no longer has any. So you'll lock your door tonight. You'll check it twice. And when that feeling comes, that ancient certainty that someone is watching, you'll understand it now. It's not a ghost. It's not a stranger. It's 300,000 years of ancestors still trying to keep you alive.